The college season is officially over and the Senior Bowl is in the books. It's time for a fully updated quarterback top 10. Here we are, folks. Today it is Metro and myself. We're going through not one, not two, but 10 of our top quarterbacks of the 2026 NFL Draft. Before we get started, obviously we do not have B. Ross here today. Do not want to disclose too much, but he is out for family reasons. I recommend that you send prayers his way, wishing the best for his people. Moving forward, let's dive into our top 10. Metro, today's going to be fun. I think we're going to go 10 to 7, 6 to 5, and then 4 down. Does that sound good with you?
Sounds good. By the way, last time we did this, October 11th, with Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, Cade Klubnik was probably in our top 5s. A lot has changed, and I think our lists are going to reflect that.
Absolutely agree. I'm going to let you open this one, Metro. Give me your 10 to 7.
All right, my 10 to 7. At number 10, I have Cole Payton, the North Dakota State quarterback. Number 9, Cade Klubnik, the Clemson starting quarterback. 8, Taylon Green from Arkansas. And number 7, I have Luke Altmaier, the Illinois quarterback.
Okay, very nice. For my 10, I got Sawyer Robertson. At 9, I got Cole Payton of NDSU. 8, Luke Altmaier. And then 7, Carson Beck, the Miami Hurricane. Which one do we want to start with? I'll let you open up with your pick of the poison.
Let's. Who was your number 7 again? Carson Beck.
My 7 is Carson Beck.
Okay, we'll save Carson Beck. Let's start with Cole Payton because he's an interesting prospect. Obviously, he was at the Senior Bowl. Former 2-star recruit, played baseball in high school. Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year. He's a 2-time FCS national champion. Really, this is his first time really being the starter for North Dakota State. North Dakota State's obviously one of the better non-FBS schools out there. They are obviously always in championship contention. They're always winning a shit ton of games. And Cole Payton has kind of waited his turn and has really risen up the ranks. This is somebody that prior to the season ending, really wasn't on a lot of people's radar. I think with the Senior Bowl and now that you have a lot of analysts starting to talk about him, he's rising up the board, and Cade has him at 9. I have him at 10. I really wouldn't be surprised if by the time we get done with the combine and things like that, if he's at my number 7 or 8, because this quarterback class, as we all know, not revealing anything crazy here, it's not very great. But when it comes to Cole Payton, there's a lot to like about his game. He's got great size. He's a really good athlete. He's got almost effortless arm talent. I think he extends plays very well. I do think he has an over-reliance on his legs and his mobility. There's times where he's not really looking downfield. He's looking to take off. I wish he would sometimes look a bit more down the field to see if he can extend. But he's one of the better deep ball throwers in this class. You watched him at the Senior Bowl when they're running their one-on-one routes on the outside. I felt like pretty consistently Cole Payton gave them opportunities to make plays. And watching the film, it's one of the best throws he had on the field was any sort of deep shot. And I think he is playing with decent anticipation. It's obviously going to have to play a lot better in the NFL level, but I think that's there. Now, in the con section, he's not a experienced guy. He's just now a kind of a starter. He's a lefty, which for some teams that might hurt him a little bit. Obviously, lefties have succeeded, but there's some pros and cons to that, of course. I think his mechanics are a little funky, especially when he's playing under pressure. Processing speed after the snap's a little bit slow. I think he relies a lot on his legs, and his pocket presence is just not the best. So before Cade obviously talks about him too, I have him as a day 3 prospect, day 3 to maybe UDFA, and I'll throw this at you before we get to what you think of him. I think he could be the next Taysom Hill. I'll leave it at that. I will leave it at that. But what do you think about Cole Payton?
To answer that question off the rip, he's 6'3", 233. So
hey.
We're near the range of we're near the range of Taysom Hill. I want to see the combine first before I put that stamp of approval on it. But I get what you're saying, man. Cole Payton, I'm not going to repeat everything that Metro just said, but I can tell you some stats right here. He was ranking first in big-time throw percentage, 11.3. So about every 10 times this guy threw the ball, it was a big-time throw. And to add on to that, he was playing at NDSU, but he had over 1,200 deep yards. So while he was relying on his legs, man, he can chuck the ball. And like you said, during the Senior Bowl, he let this thing fly. When you say, who was that? And he's, of course, got the Bison helmet on, and you love to see it. Cole Payton, a day 3 pick most likely, but the upside is there without a doubt. If you're giving this guy a small Taysom Hill nod, then you know he's got talent.
So Taysom Hill 6'2", 220. You look at Cole Payton 6'3", 233. No, he's also a little bit older. I don't know what his current weight is at because I don't even know if they've updated it. But I think, look, he's going to obviously want to play quarterback. But kind of like Taysom Hill, where Taysom Hill can be your quarterback if you need him to, he also has that ability to be just kind of a weapon on your offense. Not too sure if there's many coaches out there that are going to look at Cole Payton and say, we want a Taysom Hill in our team. Taysom Hill was very much a New Orleans thing. Like, man, how many teams are there that have a Taysom Hill? One, the Saints. So right. Maybe the best place for him to go would be like Denver, learn with Sean Payton. Payton looks at him and says, all right, you're next Taysom Hill, and you can also be our third-string quarterback behind Stidham and Bo Nix. Just throwing it out there. I don't really think they need a quarterback, but just kind of throwing that idea out there in the world. I like him as a prospect. Again, I think if I'm him, I'm going to the combine, I'm running, I'm testing, I'm looking as competitive as I can possibly be because that's how he's going to make his mark. He's not going to make his mark via his film. It's really going to be everything that leads up to the draft. And, people are going to start to pick apart some of these other quarterbacks because of size or arm limitations. Not really sure you can do that with Cole Payton. He's a big dude with a big arm. So a lot to like there for sure.
Absolutely. Remind me who you have at 9 again.
At my number 9, I have Cade Klubnik, and I don't think he's in this section so far. I think we could go to Luke Altmaier. He's my number 7, and he is your number 8. We'll talk about Sawyer here in just a second. We'll get to him and Carson Beck as well. But when it comes to Luke Altmaier, I'll let you start that one off.
Cool. Luke is the Illinois quarterback, of course, came out this year to review the year he had. He started basically 3 years in a row at Illinois. He started later in the season in 2023, but he's been there back-to-back years. And this year he had under 3,000 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions to give you a gauge on the kind of year he had. Luke Altmaier is not a player that will wow you with his skills and his ability, but man, he showed you the ability to make some plays over the middle of the field on the sideline. I thought he had a solid day processing at the Senior Bowl. If you plug a guy like Luke into your offense, I feel like he's going to be more of a system guy, needs to land in the right spot, could be a potentially strong backup in the NFL, but I want to hear your thoughts, honestly. I don't have a strong opinion on Luke, and if you have a different vibe than me, I'd love to hear it.
No, I'm kind of in the same boat with you on this one. There's always a couple quarterback prospects where it's like, I don't have a ton of opinions of him because he is who he is. He's not going to be a starter in the league. He's going to be probably a second or third string guy that hovers around the league, maybe gets a start occasionally, but is never going to run away with a starting job. That's what I think about Luke Altmaier. He's my 7th ranked quarterback in this year's class. Obviously, it's a very weak class depth-wise, but I do think Luke will be drafted. He's decently well put together, 6'2", 215. A bit of a background on him. He was a 4-star recruit. He was the 116th recruit in the nation in ESPN, Elite 11 finalist, 2021 Under Armour All-American, 2-time All-State selection as a junior and senior. Obviously goes to Illinois. By the way, fun fact, I'm reading this from Illinois' kind of background here. His father, Chad Altmaier, formerly the team orthopedic surgeon for Mississippi State. I don't know why that just kind of popped out to me, but
I love it.
That all said, when it comes to Luke Altmaier, he's, again, 6'2", 215 pounds. He has good velocity on his football. He's a good athlete. I think his mechanics are fundamentally sound. Really quick release. I think he processes the field fast and well enough. For some of his cons, I really think he struggles under pressure. His pocket presence has been lackluster his entire career. He's not the biggest, most well-put-together guy. He's 6'2", 215, so he's tall enough, big enough. I like my quarterbacks a little bit bigger. We'll talk about a couple of those bigger guys here in a second. So maybe he could. Oh yeah, there's some big ones up there. And his arm talent is just okay. This is a low floor, low ceiling player, which I know is not like the craziest thing to say, but when you look at this class where there's a couple of high ceiling, like basement level floors, sometimes it's okay to just have these guys that are right in the middle that you know basically exactly what they're going to be. And I'll back you up on the Senior Bowl thing. When I was watching the Senior Bowl, I don't think any of the quarterbacks stood out a ton, right? I thought Cole Payton showed off a bit of his arm. I thought Garrett Nussmeier might have been the best quarterback out there. Taylor Green had some crazy plays too. I felt like in addition to Nussmeier getting better every single day, I just felt like Luke Altmaier was maybe the most steady quarterback the entire time there. Just consistently making the right plays, not doing anything flashy, being Luke Altmaier. And you know what? For Illinois, he was pretty good for them. So I don't think there's going to be a team that's going to be pissed if they take Luke Altmaier round 5, probably more like round 6 or 7, and he's just their third string quarterback.
Absolutely. And just to emphasize what you said, his big-time throw rate and turnover-worthy play rate was the exact same thing at 3.1%. So he's not going to throw a pick, but he's also not going to throw a bomb for a touchdown. Like you mentioned, the only concern I have for a guy like Luke is that pressure-to-sack conversion rate. When we get into the 20s, something we want to pay attention to. He was at 21.5% on the season. Got to get that down. But like you said, man, we know what Luke is. We know what he can do in the league. And hopefully just lands in a good spot and is able to thrive. And like you said, man, so what? You're a third string, second string in the NFL, making millions, traveling across the – you're going to have a great
That's
time.
a great life. That's a great life.
I'm jealous, Luke. I'm jealous of you, Luke. That sounds amazing.
Let me ask you, is Klubnik or Taylor Green in your top 10? Are they both in your top 10?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
In this class, they might go 1. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Don't burn me. Yeah.
All right, then. Let's. I think our 4 to 6 range will open up a lot more of the conversation. So, do you want to start off 6 to 4?
I'd love to. At 6, I'm gonna have Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. 7, Cade. What? One more time.
I said, wow.
Yeah. 6, Cade Klubnik, and then 4, Drew Lar.
Ooh, okay. For me, at my number 6, I have Sawyer Robertson. 5, I have Drew Aller, and 4, I have Carson Beck. Obviously, now we can basically name every single player here. Do you want to start with Sawyer Robertson, since he's your 10, he's my 6?
Cool. You want to kick it off? I mean, he's pretty straightforward, but I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, I'll start off on him. He is a baseball player, and I think he should play baseball. He looks like if you took a Major League Baseball player, threw on a college uniform, and just said, go rip the football, right? We'll give you 3 months. We'll give you a playbook. Just go play ball. Because he plays like a baseball player. Baylor's system is very much a one-read system. So he's very not often going from one read to the second read to the third read to the fourth read. It is either hand the ball off, play action, drop back, check your first read. RPO, check your first read. Play action, hit the dump off, check your first read. It's not fun football, but it also makes for a player in Robertson whose stats are pretty good, who will make a couple throws a game that's like, he's got something, but it also leaves you wanting more. I thought for him, he's higher than these other quarterbacks because he is bigger, 6'4", 220. He can make every throw on the field. He's got a cannon of an arm. There's a play to Michael Trigg where it's like he's kind of the offensive line is having a great block. He's just dropping back. Nothing's open. Trigg is running like a little comeback route. It's like a 5-yard comeback. Not open. He then runs upfield on a seam route. You see Sawyer step up in the pocket, layer the football over the linebacker, and with enough velocity to where it doesn't get tipped. He also protected him as well from a hitter because of how fast the football came. If he just kind of lofts that football up, the dude's getting absolutely smoked. Michael Trigg gets it, goes pretty deep. There's just a couple plays like that on film every single game where it's like he has it, he can make every throw, but Baylor, I felt like, really held him back, which leaves you kind of wanting more from him, but also kind of like, is this just who he is, right? At the Senior Bowl, you got to see a lot of good things from Sawyer Robertson. You got to see the arm talent. I thought he was just okay at the Senior Bowl. There wasn't a quarterback at the Senior Bowl that to me elevated their stock a ton. The one thing I'll give Sawyer, I think it was on that third or second practice. I think it might have been the second one. I think he got a little nicked up a little bit, some sort of leg injury, and he kept fighting through it, right? And this is obviously a big day for these prospects, but it's not a national championship. You're not fighting for the Big 12 title. It's a Senior Bowl. It's basically a practice. I mean, it was a practice. And he gets nicked up out there. Exactly. He gets nicked up out there, and he's kind of, not going to say hobbling, but limping a little bit after every single play. And he's still running the football. When there were lanes to run, he ran the football. So I like that sort of stuff from him. In terms of what I saw on film, he's 6'4", 220, really well put together. He's a good enough athlete. He's really decisive with the football, kind of because that's what the system is, but he is decisive with the football. He has a high release point. His arm talent's really good. He has a ton of zip on the football, and he's a tough kid. He's probably older than me. In terms of some cons, his footwork is kind of nasty. He predetermines every single throw, basically, which is a Baylor thing. His feel for pressure is not great. His mechanics are all over the place, especially when he's on the run. Again, baseball player, he tries to arm everything. Sometimes set your feet, make sure your toes are facing the receiver. Not going to get that a ton from Sawyer. I like Sawyer at QB6 because I think he is just a high-ceiling football player that has enough NFL traits to him to where I think you can develop him to be a QB2 in the NFL. And I also think his floor is safe enough, right? We'll talk about Taylor Green here in a second, who I think you have him in your top 3, don't you?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about Taylor Green here in a second.
We'll get there in a second, yeah.
Who's massive, can make every throw on the field, but I think his floor is really low. I just like Sawyer's floor a lot more. So, yeah, man, Sawyer Robertson should be playing baseball right now, but is playing football and he's going to get drafted. So, good for him.
You cooked, King. You got any final thoughts? I don't have to add to that. I think you did a great job. Otherwise, I'll go to Carson Beck.
Yeah, we could talk about Carson in a second. Again, think of a baseball player. He looks like a baseball player. He plays like a baseball player. Probably should be a baseball player, but he's a quarterback, and he's a pretty good one for the college level. And again, day 3 prospect. I don't think we're going to get to a day 2 prospect till the top 3 or 4. Everyone else to me is a day 3 prospect. That includes Sawyer. I just think Sawyer's he's not the safest prospect in the world, but I think his ceiling is high enough to where you can take the swing on him.
If someone's watching this back, or if your team takes Sawyer Robertson, just know they are developing him to be a high-end backup quarterback, or potentially even the starter someday. It is a long road to get there, but this guy's upside is just there. But like you mentioned, the floor is kind of questionable. Luckily, he gets the ball out fast because he's got easy reads, right? It would be one thing if he held onto the ball, made bad decisions, and got sacked every other play, but he moves the ball quickly, average time to throw is at a decent spot. If he gets Sawyer, long-term play, and you're probably trying to make this guy your high-end backup or even starting quarterback potentially.
100%. Carson Beck.
Carson Beck time, guys. Are you sick of hearing about him? You're going to hear about him one more time. Carson Beck out of Miami went all the way to the national championship. He's been to Georgia, and all the way to the U. In this final season, he had 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, compared to last year where he had 28 and 12 on the season. Carson Beck is a good build for a quarterback. He's 6'4", 220. He's a redshirt senior. The dude's almost 24 years old by the time he's drafted. He's been in the game for a while, so we know what he is. What is he, Cade? He's like if Jared Goff was bad at. Sorry, it's strong. He's like if Jared. he's like if Jared Goff didn't have better decision making. Yeah, man. The pocket awareness, the decision making. When the pressure's on, it tends to get to him. And man, I fold like a lawn chair under pressure. I get it, Carson Beck. I'm there, man. I'm right there with you. But it's the decision making. It's the pocket. It's when the game's in the line. We've seen time and time again where it ends up in the wrong hands. Overall, he's only got a 2.2 turnover-worthy play rate, but it just comes at the worst times. So Carson Beck is one of those guys that if he declared in 2023, might have gone in the first round because he had a really solid year. He didn't show any of his flaws quite yet, but in hindsight, here we are today. He's got enough talent to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Just is a team going to trust him and give him the chance? I could see it potentially, but it's gonna take a leap of faith, is all I'll say. Well, what do you think about Carson Beck? I don't mean to be harsh, Carson. You're kicking ass doing your thing, but this is just what we've seen over 5-6 years of play.
Yeah, so Beck is my QB4. Kind of tells you that there's a lot of weaknesses to this class. He is a high floor, low ceiling player. He's a backup to me. I don't think he's an NFL starter. I think he is a very quality backup quarterback that can spot start for you and not kill your season, right? That's kind of a big summary of what I think of him. In terms of his background, former 4-star recruit, commits to Georgia. He was Mr. Florida, Mr. Beck was awarded Mr. Football in the state of Florida, and he was also a baseball prospect as well. So he's got some baseball accolades to him. He's got the arm of a baseball player. Again, another guy that looks like he could play some baseball. The film you watch in 2023 with Carson Beck is pretty impressive stuff. But you also have to add into the factor that he's playing behind a talented offensive line. He had some great receivers that are now playing in the NFL. There's a lot of talent there, right? In 2024, he was playing with not as much talent. And you saw a lot of the limitations with Carson Beck. And we'll get to those here in a second. But you saw the limitations pop out. He then transfers over to Miami, plays with a really talented football team that makes it all the way to the national championship. You saw Beck take some steps forward, but largely looked about the same. Just some of his flaws were covered by a good system, a good run game, more talent around him. So that's the career of Carson Beck, to where he's always been a good quarterback, especially that first year in 23. But every year, you've sort of seen some limitations. Now, in terms of the good, he is 6'4", 220. He's got a ton of experience. He knows how to manage a game properly. I thought as the year progressed, his leadership skills got better, right? Especially as they went through that playoff run. We all kind of saw the post-game interviews where he kind of threw some people under the bus. I feel like he learned from that moment, maybe some self-reflection, because as the season went on, he handled the media a lot better. I know that Carson has sort of this personality that people find to be a little fake, and, you know, there's so many off the field stuff that kind of worry you with him. I don't think that's going to travel nor affect his draft status. I think when he gets to the NFL, he'll be a backup quarterback, and that off-the-field stuff is not going to matter that much because a backup quarterback's never going to be the leader in the locker room, and if they are, boy, you have some issues going on with your team. So good stuff for Carson, experience, size, good game manager, solid enough arm. He is able to go through his progressions. When he's playing in a rhythm, he's pretty good. His issue is when he's out of rhythm, he can kill you sometimes. I mean, we saw some games this year where he threw multiple picks, and it's really frustrating. In terms of the cons to his game, I don't think he's ever been able to handle pressure very well in the literal sense of handling blitzers, essentially. Handling pressure in the biggest moments of a game, I think he actually did a good job of that. We saw that in this playoff run. That Ole Miss game goes down, basically puts them in the national championship because of that game-winning drive. That's handling pressure. That is a crazy, raucous crowd. You have Ole Miss with all his momentum. He leads that game-winning drive. And we saw that a couple times at Georgia, too, where, you know, he was able to carry that team in some tough moments. So he's got a ton of experience. He can handle outside pressure, but handling pressure within the game, not as much. I think his ceiling's low. I think he has some wild turnover games. And I think as a prospect, he's regressed from that 2023 season. He is who he is. He doesn't have much more room to grow because he's an older prospect. He's been in college for multiple years. He's a backup. He is a true 100% backup, and that's my number QB4. Because at the bare minimum, I know with Carson Beck, he'll be in the league for multiple seasons as a good backup. All these other quarterbacks below him, yes, Diego Pavia included, who's not in my top 3, by the way. Spoiler alert. They're all guys that I have worries about. All right, there's a lot of issues to their game. So that's just kind of where the quarterback class is. Beck won't be a first-round pick. I'd be surprised if he was a second-round pick. I think the earliest he goes is late round 3, somewhere early day 3. Right? This is the first prospect, at least on my board, who I think could somehow make it in a day 2. Well, actually, there's one more who we'll talk about in a second, who's your QB4 and my QB5. But I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on Carson Beck?
Yeah, I have a question for you, and this doesn't come from me. I'm just saying it to pose thoughts. With Carson Beck, we saw last year how when Shedeur Sanders was big in the media, and he's had, I mean, this guy's been nothing but, I'm going to be honest, Shedeur Sanders seems like a great guy, and he truly did nothing horrible during his time. I've seen some quarterbacks taken way higher that did horrible shit, okay? It was just the media presence and the chaos that they knew he could cause. That's why he slid down the road. Nobody wants a star backup quarterback. With what happened at the podium for Carson Beck, what we've seen with, like, the Cavender twins, this guy seems to always be in the press. Do you think he will slip on draft day because of that, or no? Like, I truly don't have an answer. I'm picking your brain.
My guess is no, because I don't. The Shador Sanders thing was very unique because he's the son of Dion. He had so much hype, even at Jackson State, right? Because he's always attached himself with his dad, Dion. So when he was coming out of college, and look, I personally think the whole Shador thing was bogus. What they did to him.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of it was, but he also didn't really do himself any favor when you hear reports of him and how he handled himself during interviews, walking out of interviews, being kind of arrogant, things like that. So he didn't really do himself any favors like that. And I also think Dion is like a national headline guy, right? When you're writing an article about quarterbacks, if you can put Dion or Shador Sanders on the front cover, you get 50x more clicks. Not really going to be the case with Carson Beck. I think people just don't like Carson Beck. But I do feel like this recent run in the playoffs kind of turned people around on Carson a little bit. So I don't think that there's a direct connection. Maybe some teams will look at it and say, we just don't want to deal with it, so we're going to pass on him. But I would be surprised if it was a ton of teams. It might be like one or two that just look at the outside stuff and say, we have such a well put together culture. We don't want to risk it with somebody that has questions. But I don't think the issues are that real. I think a lot of it is just overblown stuff that probably won't translate to his combine, his interviews, things like that.
I'm with you. If it was going to be any player, it'd probably be him. So just wanted to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, because, every other quarterback here is very quiet, you could say. Not a lot of social media buzz with guys.
That's good.
The one guy that does is Fernando Mendoza, and he is like the most universally loved human ever. So it's like, Carson Beck is going to be the guy that just kind of takes the fall a little bit.
Heck yeah. Are we ready to pivot to Drew Aller?
Yeah. You have We'll talk about Nussmeier in a second. You have Klubnik.
You have him at 3, right?
We'll get to that. He's my number 1, actually. No. Do you want to do Klubnik or Aller? Because I think these are two fun prospects.
You've Klubnik at 9, so I'll probably open up with Klubnik and then throw it to you. I'll throw the pros and you throw the cons. How about that?
100%. We'll be quick on Klubnik because we've talked about him 50 billion times. So
Absolutely.
Let's just run through it.
Let's kick some ass. Cade Klubnik, 1, awesome name. 2, he's 6'2", 210, and he can scoot a little bit. He's got some movement to him. The biggest pro, though, out of all these quarterbacks, in 2024, Cade Klubnik had the best season we've seen out of any of these guys outside of day 1. He had 3,600 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. I just can't forget that. That's why he's this high on my list and all the way at 5. Besides that, I think he can throw the same way people knocked Bo Nix for arm strength. They're like, he's got no velocity. That's fair, but he could throw a post route just fine. He had the distance, just didn't have the juice behind it. I think Cade Klubnik's in a similar territory. Like I mentioned, he's got some scoot. But besides that, some things to be worked on, so I'll pass it to you, Mr. Metro.
Yeah, so when we did our summer scouting, you could call it, when we talked about some of these quarterbacks in this next class, I remember you I don't want to say you being super high on him, but you were a lot higher on him. Okay, so you were super high. So you were drinking the Kool-Aid. I was not. I had him, 4 or 5 maybe. Granted, I was drinking the Kool-Aid of Drew Aller, and maybe our rankings kind of reflect our biases a little bit because, you still have Klubnik high. I still have Aller relatively high. So maybe we are victims of our own greed, you could say. But with Klubnik,
Confirmation bias.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably a better way to say it. But I have Klubnik at 9. I think that Klubnik is a pretty safe prospect, but I don't think he's a good prospect, if you ask me. He's 6'1", 210. I've always said he's very small out there, around Bryce Youngish level, a little bit bigger, but around that Bryce Young level stuff. I think that there was so much negative stuff that happened in 2025 at Clemson, not just Klubnik. Every single Clemson player took a step back. TJ Parker, who had the Senior Bowl of his life and maybe saved his draft stock. Peter Woods, who probably should have been at the Senior Bowl. Had he gone, he might be going through what TJ Parker went through. Avion Terrell had a up and down season, to put it lightly. Antonio Williams was a once thought to be maybe first-round pick. Didn't really work out this year. Like, you just go down the list. The only one that maybe helped his case was maybe like Blake Miller, but I think he's more of a product of a meh offensive tackle class. But Klubnik had a down year, and even in his 2024 film, there was stuff to like, and obviously that's why he was in my top 5. He was in your top 5. But I just felt like, what's the catch, right? And I feel like we saw the catch this year. There's a lot to dislike about Klubnik, and I hate to put it like that, but I've maybe been a bit nitpicky with him, and I feel that it affected his snaps this year. Size is just adequate. I think his arm talent, I think you make a good point. He can hit a post route. He should be able to make most throws. I think where you see the arm limitations is when he's rolling out and trying to make a play down the field. There's a couple throws, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I can visualize it. I just can't think of the team and when the moment was. But there are times where he's rolling out left or right, and he's trying to throw the ball down the field, and you can just feel that ball just floating midair, and you have to see guys come back to the football. He doesn't have that Josh Allen, which maybe 5 guys in the NFL have Josh Allen arm talent, but he doesn't have a Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, Mahomes-like arm where it doesn't matter what angle they're taking, doesn't matter if they're falling on the floor, that ball is going, and it is sailing over there. His ball is it just takes a while to get there, and I feel like that really affects him as a playmaker. I even think post-snap, the way he reads the field was bad in 2025 compared to 2024. And even 2024, I had some questions to it. But this year specifically, you could just sort of see a lot of the stuff that gave him success this year was gimmicky stuff, right? Like there was a lot of open, first reads that aren't going to translate to the NFL. A lot of double moves or quarter or running back wheels. It was kind of the same flaw I had with Quinn Ewers, where a lot of Quinn's success was drawn up, designed concepts. Right now, I was high on Quinn because I thought his arm talent was through the roof, and he went to the perfect system in Miami. I see a lot of that stuff with Klubnik. Klubnik, his pocket movement's okay. I think he is just a backup and maybe more of a third-string guy. I think when I look at every quarterback above him on this list, they all have better arms, and I think they're just better players. But Klubnik does have that 2024 tape that you can point to and say, he had the best 2024 of any quarterback out here. And I'll give you that one for sure. But the 2025 film, to me, was such a step back that I think teams are going to look at him and just say, day 3 prospect, probably third string quarterback. Maybe he develops to be your number 2. We'll see. Obviously, you're a little higher on him than me, but again, maybe our biases might be showing a little bit. And I'll admit to it with Drew Aller, because I definitely feel like my bias is showing here. Because God, I want that guy to work so badly, but holy moly, it's frustrating, dude. It is frustrating.
Klubnik is going to be a weird fit in the NFL because, okay, I got to explain this without sounding like a dumbass, which is my profession now, I must say. He is the same key play style as like a Russell Wilson, to where he can throw moon balls to the sideline and over the post routes, but he's not gunning it down the middle of the field. And he doesn't have Russell Wilson speed. He just has some scoot, if I could say that correctly. So similar play styles, just not the juice we're used to seeing in these top NFL prospects. He's going to be a weird fit. Like you said, realistically, probably like hanging around as a third string quarterback on a couple of rosters, but has to mesh into a system that makes sense. Like you're not going to McVay's offense and following Matthew Stafford. Like they play different, they have different tools. You got to find something that's consistent with wide receivers, that they understand what's going on and they have a similar play style. So, K. Klubnik, I'm still holding on to nostalgia, but that's why I have him here ranked at 5, and you have him where at 9?
Yeah, you know what? I think going to your Russell Wilson, I think Seattle would be a good fit for him. Right?
I think so too, actually.
Let him be behind. I mean, they do have depth there. They drafted Milroe. They have Drew Lock. But if they move off of a Lock, Milroe's the number 2. I think Klubnik could be their number 3. By the way, I'm looking back at our 26 summer scouting. This was 8 months ago in the beginning of June.
Oh boy!
You have Klubnik first. I have Klubnik 5. And okay. I'll give myself a pat on the back. I had Mendoza in my top 5 too, but I also had Drew Aller number 1. So toss it out.
I don't even think I had Mendoza on the list.
No, but he was a pretty unknown prospect. I didn't think he'd be this good. So we'll get to him here in a second.
Here we are. Who do you want to bounce to next? Very important.
Let's talk Aller, and then I think that's everybody. We can start going into our top 3.
Let's go. I'll let you open up because he was your summer scouting 1.
Yeah, he's my summer number 1. And you know what? If I had my way, he'd be my number 1 again right now. But Obviously, I have to be real here. Look, you watch the tape and you just say, gosh, he's so good but so bad at the same time. It is so frustrating watching his game, and I wish he would have been able to stay healthy, and I really wish, because that Penn State wasn't going to somehow go from where they were midseason to making the playoffs if if Aller was healthy, but I would have loved to have seen him get out of that rut that he was in, right? In that Oregon game, and then the game, I think it was UCLA afterwards, and then he had the injury to Northwestern. Maybe that sounds about right. But I wish that he would have been able to continue the season to see if he could bounce back and find his groove midseason. Unfortunately for us, he had the injury, and it really put a damper on everything about him from a prospect, from a player. But there is so much to look at and like about this guy because he has the size. He is 6'5". He is 235 pounds. He can make every single throw in the field, and he can do it from a multitude of angles, right? Another one of these guys that has the baseball kind of look and feel to him. He's got arm talent through the roof. I think under pressure, he's not bad, right? Pressure in the literal sense, not outside pressure, not handling the big moments because we know that's his flaw. But in-game pressure, I feel like he does a decent job of handling it. When Aller, I keep saying Nussmeier, when Aller's in rhythm, when he's playing on time, when he's playing confident, he's a good quarterback, like really good. His issue is, and I think NFLSC, NFL Stock Exchange, great channel by the way, they do a good job of describing this, where it looks like he's targeting where to throw the football. But I feel like when Aller stops thinking so damn much and just plays football, there's a lot to like about his game, like a lot to like about it. Again, size, arm talent, poise under pressure. He's really good at taking care of the football. Only 3 interceptions this year, and in 2024, he only had 8 through an entire 3-game playoff run as well, including the Big Ten championship. So takes care of the football. I think he's good enough in the pocket. I think he can go through progressions. I think pre-snap, he knows where to put the football. But there are the cons there with him a little bit. His mechanics are wildly inconsistent. I think he, again, talking about the NFLSC thing where they say it perfectly, it looks like he's trying to time his throws. It looks like he's trying to, he's trying to think about how he should put the football instead of just putting it there. And he predetermines some throws as well. And again, when it comes to the high-level competition, this is now multiple years now where you can look at Drew Aller and you can look at his stats, you can look at his PFF grades, and they are always usually at their lowest against good football teams, which is tough because in the NFL level, you're playing superstars and stars every single week. I think Aller's going to go higher than what people think, though, because, again, the flashes are really good. The size is really good. I think he's going to light up the combine from a throwing perspective. The injury is unfortunate. His game is never predicated on being a playmaker or being an athlete, which he's an okay-ish athlete. He's a good playmaker as well, but I'm not too worried about that. I still have some faith in him, but obviously he is going to be a backup to start off his career, and it's just kind of a we'll see sort of player. His floor is pretty low too, right? He might be out of the league in 5 years for all I know, but there's so much talent and upside here and enough good tape to where it's like, I can't give up on him yet, but we'll see, man. He's got to go to the right situation. And I think, every team would love to go to Los Angeles, but going to Los Angeles, learning from Matthew Stafford for a year or two, I think that would make a lot of sense for Los Angeles. I also think going to the Chargers makes sense. Him and Herbert, yeah, run that right through. They could use a backup. Trey Lance stinks. So, yeah, just throwing out those teams. But I like him, man. I'm not giving up on him. Well, I'm giving up on him as a first-rounder, but he's a second-round guy to me, in my heart.
You have him at 5. I have him at 4. So I'm going to double down on what you said, man.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah. To put this in perspective, Drew has thrown 13 interceptions over 3 seasons. And he did get hurt this year. Got to account for that, of course. But, for example, Carson Beck threw 12 this year. Okay? Drew has truly just never reached his ceiling, but his floor's been just fine over the past 3 years. This year I'm not going to count this year. It's a damn mess. I'm going to be honest. But what we've seen from Drew Aller, this guy can ball. He's got so many tools. Just like you said, get him somewhere safe. Get him somewhere where he can sit for a year. If he starts in his first year, I don't see it working out. But if he actually sits for a year, learns a thing or two, I could see the ceiling being a starting quarterback without a doubt. I don't know if you'd say the same.
If he hits his ceiling, yeah. One thing I'll say about Aller, and this is sort of to your point about him not progressing and getting better year in and year out like he should have. I wish he would have transferred, man. And I also wish that he would have went back to college for one more year and transferred out. I wish he would be at Miami right now instead of Darian Mensah. I think he very well could have helped his stock out. I feel like at Penn State, and again, maybe we're excusing his performances a little bit. Sure, maybe, probably, in fact, but but
11 guys in the field. It's not all him.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, look, they're ridiculously talented. I wish that he would have been able to get somebody else in his ear, not just James Franklin for the 4 years he was there. I wish he would have, and I love loyalty in college football. I think that is something that should be valued. And
you're done with the 90s, Metro. Loyalty's gone.
I understand, but I will always like it. But I do agree with you, though. I wish that, or I do agree with the point that loyalty should not influence what your career could be. Right? Be loyal as long as you can, but if you're realizing that Penn State's hurting me, I need to go see another coach, get out then. And I wish that he would have. And again, he is a senior. He was a 4-year guy. But Trinidad Chambliss has been in college football like 6 years. Joey Aguilar has been in football for like 7 years. I'm sure Drew Aller could have got another year. He might already have another year. And if I was him, I would have said, man, I love Penn State. I love you guys. I'm going to go transfer to Miami. Or I'm going to go transfer to Oregon and reinvent myself and become the quarterback that he should have became. I question why he didn't leave Penn State, to be honest with you. Because he never hit his ceiling there.
The NCAA, when you get out of the game, right? You go to a basketball game and they're handing those coupons by the door and there's just thousands of them. They're handing away eligibility.
Let's talk about Trinidad real quick.
Oh, absolutely we can. They're handing out eligibility like it's nobody's business. Just for free. You have one. Have it a 7th year. Screw it. But you go ahead. Open up with Trinidad, Mr. Chambliss. I would have had him ranked at 3. What about you, though?
He would also be my QB3. But we both made the conscious decision that it looks like he's trending towards going back to college. Well, the gift and curse of pre-recording a video. This video was pre-recorded on Monday, and as of today, Wednesday, around 9 o'clock my time, we got the news that Trinidad Chambliss was denied the waiver to return to Ole Miss, and then thus will likely be in the 2026 NFL Draft. So obviously, some of the stuff we're going to talk about after this portion that I'm talking through now is not going to be completely up to date. I'm still going to keep it in because I think it is relevant, but let's go ahead and talk about Trinidad Chambliss. You're going to see that our QB3s are a little bit different than what they would be if Trinidad was known to be in the draft when we recorded. Just know Trinidad Chambliss would be our QB3, both myself and Cades, because there's a lot to like about him. He's a really good athlete. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the entire class. He knows when to evade the pocket. He's one of the best throwers on the run. He's an elite playmaker. He processes information very well. He plays with physicality. He's a good athlete. Obviously, the story of him going from Arizona State University to Ole Miss, playing as the backup, great story, great character, and I'm happy that he's in this class. Now, in terms of some cons with him as a player, he is a smaller quarterback. Listed 6'1", 200. Obviously, we'll see at the combine what he actually is. I would venture to say he's probably more like 5'11", 200. And that lack of size does limit him a little bit as a quarterback. We've seen in the NFL a lot of times these smaller quarterbacks, look at Bryce Young, look at Kyler Murray, etc., etc. Those smaller quarterbacks, they do struggle to see the field at a high level, especially going up against NFL talent. What you'll see with Trinidad Chambliss is he gets a lot of passes batted. You will notice in the middle of the field, he just really struggles to drive that ball over top of these offensive linemen and defensive linemen, so it's going to ultimately hurt him. And there's also the lack of sample size. This was really his first year in Division I football, and obviously that was an incredible season, but it's only 1 year, less than 15 games, or I don't exactly know the exact number, but less than 20 games in the Division I level, which for some teams could be a bit of a deal breaker. But I think in this draft class, with how weak the quarterback class is, he is very clearly the quarterback 3 of the class, and I do think he's a day 2 pick. I think a team like Indianapolis, Miami, maybe even the Jets or the Cardinals should all take a look at Trinidad because he has a ton of talent, and it won't cost you a premium top 32 pick in this year's class, so you can get him for a little bit cheaper and potentially have a franchise quarterback. So that's the update on Trinidad Chambliss. Again, I'm going to keep the rest of the video for the most part the same because I still want to talk about these other prospects. Just know our QB3s are actually Trinidad Chambliss. I'll make sure the graphics on the screen reflect that. Have we talked about everyone up to this point? I think we have.
Yeah, I don't
Besides
think
Nussmeier.
Yeah. Is it time for our top 3?
It's time for our top 3. Before we do that, though, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. Cade, hit us off, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. I'm going to explain this in a second. Hold on, guys. Don't look at me like I'm sideways. At 3, I got Taylon Green, 2, Ty Simpson, and 1, Fernando Mendoza. Take it away, Metro.
1, Fernando, 2, Ty, 3, Nussmeier. I'm the boring guy here. You're the fun one. Let's get out the way. Taylon Green, my QB8, your QB3. I get it, man. Fun as hell. Insane ceiling. Go ahead. I'll let you start.
Guys, I've made a conscious decision this draft. I said, you know what? I'm just going to call it what it is. With all due respect, a lot of these prospects, they've busted their ass. They've gotten to this moment, and they're probably going to get drafted at their peak, besides Drew Aller. None of them are starting quarterbacks in the NFL. It only comes down to 2 guys not named Ty Simpson or Fernando Mendoza, and that's Drew, and that's Taylon. So let's start with that. These guys could actually be franchise quarterbacks at some point if they're developed correctly, and the whole NFL is about taking swings and hitting. If these hit, the entire franchise changes. So I'll take that over a maybe backup quarterback. Thus, I digress. Here we go. Taylon Green is 6'6", 235 with 10-inch hands. He's a redshirt senior. He's had a ton of starts in college at Boise State, all the way down to Arkansas as well. But when it comes to playing football, we got a lot of questions. He had 19 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Arkansas was kind of a mess this year. They lost their coach, of course. His pressure grade from PFF, of course, interns are grading this, but it was 29. And it doesn't really get worse than that. It might have been the worst in college football. Pressure to sack conversion is at 19%, which is also awfully strange for a guy this athletic.
Yeah.
Those are the cons. The pros are he's got a rocket arm. I mean, top 10 level in the NFL rocket arm. And if you've seen this guy run down the field at that size, you would understand what I'm talking about. Taylon Green is all tools. I understand that. And realistically, there's probably a really low chance this works out in the NFL. But if one of these quarterbacks that aren't in the top 2 is going to work out, it's going to be him. Sorry, not going to be him, but it should be him because of the tools he has. Just get in the right spot. If any of these guys land in the right spot, I want it to be Taylon Green because the upside is just to the moon. I've said my piece. I know it's ugly, but it's fun.
Yeah, he is fun, man. So I watched, how many games? I watched maybe 5 games this year. And, of course, I'm trying to get to 10, 15 games of all these guys, but, limited sample size right now. But I've watched about 4 games. One of those games was Arkansas State, which, man, I thought he put on a show in that first half. Just some of the plays he's making out there.
on Ark State, let's go.
I know, it's Ark State. But some of the throws there were like legit NFL-level throws. Now, again, It's Arkansas State, so some of the windows might have been a bit open there. But in this one of his first touchdowns, it was like a seam ball right down the middle, layered it over the linebackers, put it between 2 safeties, dime. He had another play where just showing off the absolute wheels made everyone look like they had extra weight in their feet because he was just running right past them. He had multiple plays, just layering the football perfectly, one in the red zone, just a bunch of beautiful plays in that game. But he is a project. 2, 3, 4, 5 years it might take for this guy because you're right, man. 6'6", 235 pounds, the size, the arm talent, the mobility, the upside. He's got a high release point. I think when he's in rhythm, he's a good player and he's a playmaker. But there's some cons. I think his processing speed and his decision-making is maybe the worst in this top 10. I think his pocket movement is rough. I think he is a very inefficient football player, and he is a 4 to 5 year guy. And in the NFL, maybe not 4 to 5. That might be extreme. Maybe more like, 1 to 3. In the NFL, unless you are drafted to a team that has a stable coaching situation, right? You look at McVay in LA, McDonald in Seattle.
3 spots.
Yeah, maybe a LaFleur in Green Bay. He just got an extension. I'm trying to think of who else might be a stable. Obviously, Vrabel in New England. One of those teams that has a stable head coach that is going to be there for probably the next 10 years, if everything goes well. He's going to need to go in one of those situations. Because if he goes to a team like Tampa Bay, right, with Todd Bowles, love you, Todd. You're on the hot seat, buddy. Like, that would be terrible for him because he's going to be going to a team that might have a coaching change in his second or third year. And if that happens, is that next coaching staff going to take over the job and look at Taylor Green and say, yeah, we're going to continue your development? Or are they going to look at it and say, we passed on you when I was at this team. I don't have much of a plan for you, so we're not going to worry too much about your development. We're going to focus on a starter. That's the tough part for him. Again, it all depends on the situation that he goes to. I hope it works out for him because the talent is there. You can see I'm a Texas fan. When Texas played Arkansas, man, Taylor Green had some plays out there that was like, bro, what are you doing? He got hurt in that game. I wish he would have been able to finish that game out, but some of the decision makings from this guy is frustrating. And that's why I like Drew Aller, Taylor Green are kind of two peas in a pod in a sense, where they're big, they're strong, arms through the roof. One's better athlete, one's a better decision maker. The one thing you can say about Aller, he's not turning the ball over, what, you said 11 times this year, something like that? He's going to take care of the football. He's not going to get killed like that. So a project's project would be the way that I would describe Taylor Green. If he hits that ceiling, though, you're not kidding. He might be a top quarterback in the league, but, man, that ceiling it's hard to envision right now for me. But, I mean, obviously, top 3 on your board, I don't necessarily hate it because this class just doesn't have a ton of talent in this class. And at least with Green, there is talent. It's just who's going to get that out of him. So I also think he's another guy, Lord knows, why you'd ever transfer to Arkansas. Why? Coach, I mean, maybe, again, I don't know what his process was like. I'm sure he probably could have gotten paid somewhere else that's a better program. You're telling me Michigan State wouldn't have taken you? You're telling me Michigan in 2024?
We already had like that junior. We had Shiles, but yeah.
That is true. But again, I'm sure you could have found another destination. And it's the same thing I'm worried about with Lenore Sellers. Why'd you go back to South Carolina? Like, why? Yeah. Transfer elsewhere? You could have went to Miami. I don't know. Sometimes I just wonder who these agents are and what they're telling these kids. It's kind of silly at times. But no, look, Green, he's in my top 10 for a reason. I can see the potential there. He's just a project for now.
Totally. And the last thing I'll say, he's not in my top 100 prospects, but he's my quarterback 3. So if that tells you anything what I think about this class, then here we are. I'll give it to you to open up. Oh, it's the Nuss Bus, man. Garrett Nussmeier, LSU quarterback. He's at 3 for you. He's at 6 for me. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So kind of like you, my top 2 are in my top 50. My third quarterback's currently at 107, but I have to re-update my board and fully maximize it. He might be barely in my top 100, but he's at 107 for right now. So there's a big gap from 3 to 2 to 1. With Nuss, man, 2025 was a trip, man. I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. It was bad this year, man. I think the reason why I'm a little higher on him and why I'm not like panicking over 2025 is because you can always maybe point to the injury being the case, because of the quote-unquote rumored oblique injury that, to my knowledge, I don't know if he's ever talked about it, at least to the full extent. I might have to dig into that a bit. If the oblique injury was real, then I can maybe pass the 2025 season, because, I mean, an oblique injury is massive for a quarterback, right? The ability to torque, to put your body into a throw, to have the confidence when you're throwing the football, especially for a guy like Nussmeier and his play style. If there was a legitimate oblique injury, then I can kind of pass the year he had. Let's not deny it, though. He got benched as a senior, by the way. That's rough, man. It don't get much worse than that, man. It don't get much worse than that. But the 2024 tape was so good. And I thought at the Senior Bowl he looked a lot more healthy and just looked better, right? But yeah, getting benched at LSU, that's a tough look. But again, he's my number 3. And the gap between, by the way, my number 3 quarterbacks currently ranked 107. When it comes to like the guys later on the board, the range is really tight, right? You could have the guy number 3 to the guy number 10 within about 100 rankings of each other. So that's just kind of how close each guy kind of is. It's not like I'm saying Nussmeier's better than everyone by a mile. It's not the case. I think Nuss can work, though, because, number one, he is shorter. He's 6'1", 205. Klubnik is 6'1", 210, but I don't think he carries his weight as well as Nussmeier. Nuss is kind of a bit of a stockier guy. I think he carries his weight a bit better. I wish he was a bit bigger because maybe that is part of the reason why he had this oblique injury. But I think he's got a good arm. I think he's a good playmaker. His gunslinger mentality is good and bad, mainly more bad. We'll talk about that in a second. But when it's good, it's good. I think he's a really accurate quarterback. I think he's a smart football player. I think he's a quick processor. And I value quick processors. I value guys that are good, smart guys. There are some guys later in the board that don't have the same arm talent as Nuss, and they also don't have the same IQ as Nuss. But then there's the cons. When we talk about the gunslinger stuff, it's bad sometimes where he just puts the ball in harm's way multiple times over and over again, which is frustrating because you know he knows better. You know that he shouldn't do it, but he just does it sometimes. There are times where he's way too aggressive. There's times where he's way too confident. Again, good and bad thing. I think when there's pressure in his face, he struggles to take the step forward. I think he tries to avoid it too often. And again, the 2025 tape, it's hard to gloss over a year where you get benched at LSU and you put up the numbers and you have the type of season at LSU. I will give him the grace, though, again with 2025, and I feel like I'm putting some caveats here, which I am. Coach got fired. The run game was bad. Receivers, let's be honest, were not as good as maybe they thought they were going to have. And he had an injury. There's a lot of things that I think caused him to have this year, but I still think there's something here. He's fundamentally sound. He can make every throw on the field. When he's playing smart, which he usually is, he's good. And I think you're looking at a quarterback that can work his way into being a day 2 pick. Not a day 1. That's way too early for me. Maybe if a team is desperate enough, but I think there's enough options in free agency. Daniel Jones, Malik Willis, maybe Kyler Murray in a trade, Mac Jones in a trade too. I don't know. Nuss to me, of the group of Nuss, Aller, Klubnik, all these guys that would have been top picks last year that returned to college. Obviously, I think Aller has the highest ceiling, but I think Nussmeier has the best chance of being a starting quarterback in the league. So I'll leave it at that. He's my QB3. Again, it's not a massive gaping hole between my 3 to my number 10. It's honestly really close. I don't think he should be a day 1 pick. I think he should be a late day 2. But I think he'll be given a chance to start in the league. And I think a team like Miami would be great for him. Go to Miami for a year, compete with Quinn Ewers. Those two guys, whoever gets the starting job, they have a year to prove themselves. If they don't, Hafley's going to get his quarterback in 27. So something like that where he gets a chance to start this year and prove his worth. And if it sucks, then no worries. We'll draft one in 27. So that's what I see with Nussmeier.
I think you did a perfect job. Do you have any final comments? Because I got nothing to add on to that, man.
He's the son of a coach, very talented player. It's a shame what happened this year. This is one of those scenarios where it's like you can't really point to the fact that, like, oh, you should have transferred, right? He should have just went out last year. But at the same time, like, I can understand why he returned to college because he was a 1-year starter in 2024 there's all this data out there that says play, 15 or 20 games and you're more than likely going to be better for the NFL. It just happened to be that he had so many of these like dominoes fall around him that just led to a chaotic year. And, man, it sucks for him. I feel for the guy, but he also didn't put himself in the best situation either. If you're injured, don't play, man. I get it. You love LSU. You were, 13? I think that's the number they use over there. I get it, but
yeah.
I think he wore 13. There was like a special meaning behind
right.
it. Yeah, so I don't know what the meaning is. I'm not an LSU fan, but yeah, it's the circumstances were unfortunate. It just didn't work out for him this year.
I think that's a perfect segue to this next quarterback because every year we hear shows. I hear SC, I hear McShay, I hear every single channel talk about, oh, you got to go out right now. Like, you had a great year. You got to go to the draft. You got to go. And I hear some say, for Ty Simpson's an example, why didn't you go back to school? It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like you said, The data shows, I actually did a whole report on this myself. If you don't start 20 games in college football, then go to the NFL, man, the bust rate, insanely high. I mean, it's actually almost 100% hit. It's pretty ridiculous. So for Ty Simpson, this is a guy who pretty much only started 1 year full on in college football. 15 games in 2025. But let's talk about the pros real quick. Ty Simpson, guys, you talk about making throws over the middle of the field, on the sideline. He had the best 4-game stretch out of anybody, and I mean that, any quarterback in this year. He went, listen to the schedule, at Georgia, Vandy, on the road against Mizzou, a good team this year, and then back to Tennessee. He played phenomenal in all those games, including the game before all those 4 at Wisconsin. He is a playmaker when times get tough. Now, his pressure grade over the season does not reflect that, but when you saw him at his best, it was through chaos and making great throws and layering them through the middle and sidelines of the field. Ty Simpson, those are the pros. Like, he was a gamer all year long. The cons, he had a run game that was non-existent. I've never seen Bama have no run game in my life. It was weird to watch. He truly was on an island there. It was him and it starts with the G. Who's the Jeremy Bernard? It was him and Jeremy Bernard, and Ryan Williams kind of checked out this year, trying to figure it out for Bama. And he had a fantastic year, but he goes early. He only has so many starts in college football, so that's the big con. That's the question. Can he overcome this? I think it makes sense if he goes to a stable situation, like majority of these guys. But if he goes to a place where the coach can't get fired after a year, that's where I want Ty Simpson landing, so he can start some more games and then hit the ground running. It will not be pretty in his rookie year, but sophomore and junior, air quotes, in the NFL, it could work out. But what are your thoughts on Ty Simpson?
If you want to know why Simpson was hyped so much midseason and why so many people are still on the Ty Simpson train, watch Wisconsin, watch the first half, maybe, honestly, just watch Georgia in general. He was great in those games. He made NFL throw after NFL throw after NFL throw, testing the middle of the field, layering the football, sometimes putting some touch on it, sometimes putting some zip on it. It was incredible. I thought as the year went on, people kind of found a flaw in Simpson, which was, of course, handling pressure. I did think he got better, though. Towards the end of the season, you could tell that he was able to actually handle pressure. Now, Alabama was a tough team this year. Like, they were not great offensively. Receivers had over 30 drops this year. The offensive line was not as good as what you would want it to be this year, and that includes, some guys that will be drafted this year. Parker Brailsford, their left tackle, who I've talked about so much, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. And then the run game. We're talking about Alabama, man. Alabama, offensive line, defensive line, run game. Derrick Henry, all these superstars.
All these legends.
Mark Ingram, exactly. Keep it going. They couldn't run this year. It's the first time in probably my lifetime. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but this is the first time in a long time that they have not been able to run the football. And so everything was put on Ty Simpson. You had teams that would stay back in coverage, only send 4 guys at the quarterback, and maybe a blitzer here and there, and just said, go fly after Simpson and make Simpson beat you. And sometimes he did. Sometimes versus high competition, he wasn't able to do it because the team around him was letting him down. But he does a lot of high-level stuff, right? Again, you talked about it. He is not afraid to attack the middle of the field. He does it over and over and over again, and he's also able to hit these outside shots. He's able to layer the football. I think his pre-snap IQ was great. I think post-snap, he knows exactly where he wants to put the football, but if it's not open, he's not stubborn, right? He's not going to test the hot waters. He will check the ball down, or he will go through his progressions. Now, he's not a big guy. He's listed 6'2", 208. Wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being kind of in that same boat as Nussmeier and Klubnik, or more like 6'1". Maybe he's 6'2", and I hope for his case he is. Maybe put some socks on, a couple extra layers, and I don't know, put some weights in your pocket to get some weight up. But he is a good quarterback prospect. Now, if you were to compare Ty Simpson and say, hey, put Simpson in that 2024 class with Penix, Bo Nix, Caleb, Jaden, who am I missing there? McCarthy, and Drake May. I think Simpson's probably like the 5th or 6th guy off the board there. But in this class, with the way things are currently set up, he is by far and away QB2. And it's weird to me how there's so many fans out there that when you do these mock drafts and you take Ty Simpson, and these fans are like, why? Simpson sucks. Just wait till 27. I think that's silly, to be honest with you. I think it really is. I think Simpson can play in the NFL, and I think banking on 2027, especially if you're a team that is good enough to be okay next year, like the Jets. If I'm a Jets fan, I think I'd want Ty Simpson this year because you're not guaranteed to have the number 1 pick in 2027, and who's to say 2027 is going to be any good, right? You know Dante Moore should be good. You know Arch should be good. That's your number 1 and 2, more than likely. Who's to say Lenoris is good next year? Who's to say, I mean, Dylan Raiola is not going to be coming out, right? He's off the board. Who's like DJ Lagway? You're going to bank on DJ Lagway?
Hell nah.
I sure as hell ain't. Maybe you go for Trinidad Chambliss, but I mean, look, I think 27 has a ton of talent quarterback-wise, and we'll have all offseason to talk about that. But if I'm in a situation where I'm at pick 16 and Ty Simpson's on the board there, and I have a good offseason in terms of free agency, I'm not afraid to pull the trigger. And I don't think fans should be mad at their team if they do pull the trigger. This is not a Kenny Pickett situation. Kenny Pickett was not a good prospect. Simpson's a good prospect. And so, I don't know. It frustrates me at the same time, and I don't really know why it frustrates me. Maybe it's because like I draft him and I get killed in the comments. I don't get it, though. I'm like, he's a good player. And he will be a good player in the NFL if in the right situation. I like your thought process, though, of like he could struggle year 1 because he definitely could. I think in an ideal world he sits for a year, or maybe not even sits for a year. Maybe he goes to a team that has low stakes, like they have their head coach. They know they're not going to be good next year, and so they can give Simpson the opportunity to make mistakes in year 1, like in Arizona, like maybe not the Jets because they have head coach question marks, but a team like that. I think that'd be great for him. Obviously, the Rams would be a pipe dream for any of these quarterbacks. But, yeah, Simpson, man, I don't understand I don't really call it hate, but the criticism of a Ty Simpson pick. I think he's a good ball player.
To play devil's advocate, because I see both sides. One, if Ty gets drafted, which he's going to go day 2 without a doubt, he will be started. He may go day 1, exactly. He will be started immediately, right? Why else would you? Which I think is wrong, but
he will definitely have some starts. That's the way I'll put it. I don't know if he starts day 1, but at some point he is starting. The notion of him sitting for a full year, yeah. I mean, the only team that might do that is Los Angeles, the Rams, because they hopefully will have Stafford for a full year. But if the Jets take him, they're starting him. If the Cardinals take him, they're starting him. If Pittsburgh takes him, they're starting him. Indianapolis probably will start him too. So it is one of those scenarios. But fingers crossed for Simpson. Maybe what it is, maybe the reason why he did go pro. This is a conspiracy. I don't have any inside knowledge. Conspiracy alert. Maybe he was told by the Rams they're taking him at 13. maybe.
The draft would erupt.
Conspiracy
I would go nuts
Metro.
at Pluckers. I'm breaking something. Throwing a beer bottle through the window, man.
13, Simpson to the Rams. You know what? I'm buying my own conspiracy now. I'm buying it.
Mock draft tonight. We're so going to do it.
Mock draft, every single mock draft from now on, 13 Rams take Ty Simpson. And when it happens in the draft, I won't even say nothing.
You're first.
I won't even say nothing. I'll just live stream and just say nothing. Just sit here like this.
You're going to roll into the chat like, what's up, Metro? He's like, so, dude. All right, we get it. You're smart.
I'm not even saying. I'm just. So, how you doing? So, that's it.
Hell yeah. Put a bow on this shit real quick. Logically, I hear you fans. If you draft Ty, he needs to sit. He's probably not going to. I'm not going to say it likely won't work out, but based on history with this many starts, it's going to be tough. I hear you. Part 2 of that, we continually fail to understand that the NFL is a league that has 2 resources and it's full of one and has none of the other. The money is unlimited. It prints that shit, it grows on trees, but nobody in the league has time. The owners are all 82 years old, which means someday they will go, and someday could be tomorrow. So we need a quarterback now. We will take him in April and start his ass in September. This is how the league works. This is why quarterbacks start too soon, and that's why Ty Simpson is going to be drafted by your team. So logically, I get it. Real life, it comes down to time, and it's a simple relationship with money, man. So that's my final piece. Let's end this on a good note. Fernando Mendoza. We got also, if you stick around, we got a little sneak peek of something else we're due for you true listeners still on the show. But Fernando, I'll throw it to you, Metro. Open this can of worms up, man.
Yeah, there's no questioning where he's going. He's going to be a Las Vegas Raider, and I wonder how the next few weeks are going to go with Fernando and how people perceive him. I've already kind of seen it where you're starting to see, it's not clickbait, people probably believe this, but you're starting to see those titles. Fernando should not go number one. Fernando sucks. He's overrated. Like, you're seeing it already. I will say this about Fernando. Would Fernando go number one in 24? No. Would Fernando go number one last year? Probably not. He'd probably be number two. In 2024, he'd probably be like a top 10 pick. This is not that draft class, though. It's a different draft class. Teams have different needs. And I think Fernando Mendoza has the talent to be a top 15 quarterback in the NFL if things go right. I love what I saw in Indiana this year. There are some concerns about just, Indiana and in general in terms of the way they play, the talent they had, the coaching staff, and how good they were. Like, does that elevate quarterback play? Maybe. I don't care. I think Mendoza is the best quarterback in this class. I think he's deserving of being the number one pick. If Las Vegas rolls out there and doesn't take Fernando Mendoza, it would be the stupidest decision, in my opinion, ever. Well, at least in recent years. And that's not to say that Fernando
Jadakowski, baby.
Yeah, that's not to say Fernando is like this can't miss prospect or anything like that, but he's the best prospect pretty comfortably in this class. He is the fourth ranked player for me in this class. Quarterback skewed up a little bit, but still. And then the next one is Ty Simpson. He's outside my top 30. This quarterback class this year is not great, and when there's a good one, you take him early. And I think for Raiders, you take him. Fernando's well-sized. He is a great character, 6'5", 225. Just watch the post-game interviews. Sure, they're a little corny. I don't care. I think they're great. And I think, I'll say, I can't remember who said this, but I hear people say, like, are you not concerned about that, turning people off in the NFL level? Maybe. I think we're looking too far into it. I don't think players care. And if anything, I think Fernando into the media is probably a different person than what he is in the locker room.
Absolutely.
I will tell you this right now. The person that Fernando is and the person that you see talking to the media, 9 times out of 10, that's not who they are when they get to the locker room, when they're hanging out with their homies. He's probably just a chill dude who's cool. Maybe he's a nice, sweet guy, but he's probably not, he's probably not thanking the Lord after every single sentence like he might do in that. But he's a good guy. He's a good character. But in terms of the player on the field, good size. He's an experienced player. He can make every throw on the field. He is a high IQ guy, good mental processor. I think he's got enough mobility to where you feel good about him. People will draw the comparisons to Goff. I can kind of see it because he's, big, tall, good arm, not the most mobile guy in the world. Pressure can get to him a little bit. But I felt like Fernando has more juice as a runner. And I also think he handles pressure well enough to where I'm not too concerned about it. I think his decision-making is good. I love the way that he looked in the playoffs versus great defenses. I think if there's any con you can maybe make is like you look at the Penn State game and the offense struggled in that one. You watch the first half of the Miami game where that defensive line got after him a little bit. And look, let's be honest, Las Vegas kind of stinks right now. So they're going to have to build around Fernando or else this could be a crapshoot. But that's any quarterback. You put Cam Ward in there, you got to build around him. You put Caleb Williams out there, you got to build around the guy. I don't like this notion of like, oh, Fernando's going to need a good team around him. No shit. Everybody does. Everybody does.
Patrick Mahomes needed one.
Patrick Mahomes this year need a better roster around him. He was going to miss the playoffs this year. Like the only quarterbacks in the league that could elevate a bad team to a good team is maybe Josh Allen, maybe Lamar. But even then, they have good teams around them too. So it's like, sure, Fernando needs a good team around him. Everybody does. Everyone needs a good O-line. They need good receivers. They need a good defense. That's football. It's a team game. I think the guy that plays the best team football, the guy that gets the ball to the right places, doesn't make a ton of mistakes, makes every throw on the field, is a good leader, and is also a safe but a high-level prospect, it's Fernando. He's going to be good. He could be great. Worst case scenario, you have a top 20 quarterback. Best case scenario, you have a top 10 quarterback. He's a good prospect to me, and, again, he's not the highest level number one pick we've ever had. We've had Caleb's, right? We've had Trevor Lawrence's. He's not like that. That's fine. He is much more, honestly, like what Jared Goff was perceived coming out of college. Very similar to me. And, yeah, he will go number one, and if he doesn't, he will go number two. So we'll see.
For Fernando Mendoza, as time goes on, we evaluate quarterbacks. I see it as three things, because obviously I'm in the NFL. I know what the hell I'm doing. But as I see it as three things. One, it's an interview. Do you have enough talent to get in the door to be considered a franchise quarterback? The answer is yes. You don't have to be the most talented, just do you have enough? The answer is yes. Now the next two, which go underappreciated. What kind of human are you? Are you a leader? Can you handle the pressure? Can you handle the media in your face every single morning and every single night? Can you open your phone and see Twitter and see 1,000 people roasting you on a play you had when truly the wide receiver messed up and not down the guy on the podium? These things all stack up over time, right? What kind of human are you? What kind of leader are you? Can you handle the pressure? Are you willing to put in the hard work? And finally, three, as you mentioned before, no shit. You need a good team around you. It's more up to the franchise that Tom Brady's running, by the way, so I love that. More up to the franchise than it is to the quarterback in my eyes. It's going to be a hard division. It's the only thing I'll call out. It's going to be a uphill climb with the Broncos getting good, with Jim Harbaugh taking over the Chargers, with Mahomes having a step back. The Raiders are going to be in a dogfight every single year, but if they can put talent around this guy, I'm rooting for Fernando. I know he can do it, so I'm with you, Metro.
Yeah, I also think they hired Kubiak today, which I think's great for him.
Official?
I think that's such a... let me look this.
I saw a ton of rumors. If not, it's okay. It's going to
Clint
happen.
Kubiak,
why are they waiting?
Clint Kubiak hired as head coach.
Let's go. There you go, baby. We're on our way. We're halfway there.
It's a perfect hire for what Mendoza's best at, because they're going to run the football with Genti, which, by the way, this is a really good thing for Genti as well, because he is going to run the football no matter what, and he's going to make it work because he did it everywhere he's been. I like this hire for Fernando a ton. I think that is a really good process by the Raiders. Now they have to build a team around him. And by the way, I felt like the Raiders last year had a good process. It just didn't really work out for them. I think this year their process has also been good. So I feel like the Raiders are trending in the right direction. They got to have an aggressive offseason and have a good draft. And I think they should be pretty good in a couple years.
Metro, read through your 10, then I'll finish it off.
All right, number 10, I have Cole Payton. Number 9, K. Klubnik. 8, Taylon Green. 7, Luke Altmaier. 6, Sawyer Robertson. 5, Drew Aller. 4, Carson Beck. 3, Garrett Nussmeier. 2, Ty Simpson. And number 1, Fernando Mendoza.
At 10, I got Sawyer Robertson. 9, Cole Payton. 8, Luke Altmaier. 7, Carson Beck. 6, Garrett Nussmeier. 5, Cade Klubnik. Dope name. 4, Drew Aller. 3, Taylon Green. Ew, woof. 2, Ty Simpson. That's rough reading it back. And then 1, Fernando Mendoza. Folks, what is your top 10? Let us know in the comments down below. And also let us know your top 5 from both classes. Want to hear your thoughts? Drop a like if you enjoyed the video. We'll see you guys next time. Looking forward to this draft in April. And love you guys. Have a good one. Metro, get us out of here.
Stay tuned for more top 10s. Of course, if you're new, hit the like and subscribe button. And peace out.